In this video, I'll show you why you shouldn't bounce while you're stretching and what you can do instead to make your stretches more effective. How's it going, guys? It's Chris with HealthyConsumer.com, back with another episode of Working Body Wednesdays. Working Body Wednesdays is where we discuss subjects like functional movement, posture, and everything related to those subjects to help you harden your body so it can better handle the demands of daily life. Whenever I'm in the gym, I frequently see people trying to stretch as deep and as hard as they can, and they'll often bounce at their end range, so they'll go into a stretch and then they'll bounce in and out of that. And that can be potentially dangerous and could even lead to a muscle tear in some cases. And here's the reason why that is counterproductive. When you're at the end range of a stretch and you've got that muscle stretched out all the way, your muscles have stretch receptors when it connects into the bone. So when you stretch that muscle out past the end point, the nervous system is going to respond by trying to tighten down the muscle, so you could actually be counterproductive and shorten the muscle fibers because your nervous system is responding in kind to protect you from injury. I think it's important to take a quick second and look at the anatomy of a muscle so you better understand this concept. And then we're going to cruise into the other room here and I'm going to show you what to do instead of bouncing at the end range of a stretch so you can get better results out of your stretches. So up on the screen here, you have the basic anatomy of a muscle. And we're not going to go too deep into this, but I want you to understand a couple critical components of muscle anatomy. So first up is the fasciculus. And the fasciculus is where the individual muscle fibers come together to make a motor unit. And the motor units will form together to make the muscle belly. Now the muscle belly is often what you're trying to stretch, or sometimes to hypertrophy, meaning to make it grow. So you get more developed muscles. But then we have the tendon, where it becomes more fascial and non-elastic. It doesn't have the ability to elongate as much as some of the muscle units in the muscle belly. As this tendon comes into the bone, you're interfacing what's called the periosteum. And the periosteum is where those tendinous fibers hook into the bone. And those tendinous fibers are also going to be met by some of those stretch receptors. This is a system of give and take with your nervous system. And if you try and stretch as hard or as deep as you can, your body is going to meet resistance and you won't get the results that you want. So I always encourage people to find a moderate stretch, maybe around a 6 out of 10, something like that, not where you're trying to get to the very far end range, because it's not going to work. That's a very basic outline of the makeup of a muscle. Now let's go into the other room and I'm going to show you what to do instead of bouncing in a stretch. So here I am seated and I'm going to use a hamstring stretch as an example. Now sometimes you might see somebody doing something standing where they're bending over and they're just trying to bounce in it. You know, they're trying to slam their legs back and do that over and over again, and that's not what we want at all. Instead, the preferred method would be to think of lining yourself up correctly, leveling out the pelvis, and then gently hinging the hips into an end range. And when you start to feel that stretch again at that intensity of about a 5 to 6 out of 10, then you could hold for about 2 seconds and then you back off. So we come up to the barrier, we feel the stretch, and then we back off. We don't have to linger there for 30 seconds. We just come up to the barrier and back off. Come up to the barrier and back off. Come up to the barrier and back off. Active stretching, soothing the nervous system. Trying not to force yourself into a position or a range that your body doesn't want to be in. To get the best results, lengthen the range of motion of a muscle and subsequently a joint, you have to be able to communicate with your nervous system and be able to tell your brain that it's okay. Same thing if you're doing a calf stretch and you're pulling up on a band or something like that, or you were bouncing off the side of a stairway. Not a good idea, guys. Just ease into it, hold for a couple seconds, and that'll do it. This has been another episode of Working Body Wednesdays. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell so you never miss another video. Look forward to seeing you next Wednesday.